Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you on this Saturday as we have an ice storm taking place in the Midwest. Iowa getting hit with ice, a little snow up to the north into Minnesota, heavy rain making its way through the Mississippi River Valley. And out to the west, we have a good old wind event taking place with rain and snow in California with wind gusts approaching 80 miles per hour. We're going to take a look at this, a look at road conditions across the region, a look at power outages and concerns there as well as what's going to happen the rest of the weekend as another system will be working out of the Pacific Northwest and moving into the northern plains heading into the early week. Your forecast begins right now.
Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
Okay, got the trusty coffee here. Remember, on Hutch's Weather, you can drop a question and let me know if you have a specific question. I'll try to address those here in a minute. First, we're going to go through the radar now. We're going to look at all this nonsense on here. We're going to talk about national watches and warnings. We'll talk about impacts across the area on roads. We'll talk about that forecast as well as things are changing as we head into the weekend. And this ice storm is going to continue to spread east and north as we go through the next 24 hours. So here's what you need to know. First of all, thanks for joining me. Let's start into the ice system, working its way through. We're going to get to the headlines here. As you look at the radar, getting down south of Burlington, as we go down into Quincy, Quad Cities area, all the way down into St. Louis, it's rain. There has been ice, though, so you got to be very, very cautious now that it's showing up as rain. Before, it was freezing rain. That is now pushing into the eastern portions of Iowa, not far from the border here in western parts of Illinois and Wisconsin at this particular time. Up in Rochester, a little bit of freezing drizzle will be possible there. Up in the Dakotas behind the system, there's some gray skies, but no significant impacts other than typical seasonal icy roads. Now, the pink icons you see here are freezing rain reports, 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch. As I was perusing these earlier, near Cedar Rapids appears to be where some of the thickest ice has been ongoing. We will look at area roads, but they are impacted with a number of crashes, including on I-35, that has closed portions of that road, or at least has blocked lanes of traffic in both directions. So down to the south in parts of eastern Arkansas, pushing into southern parts of Illinois, have a very wet and soggy weekend start. Now look at this nonsense going on the west coast here. As you look at the state of California, we see these blue icons. Those are wind reports. Wind is ripping with a strong storm system that's working its way in off of the Pacific. We've got snow up by Reno. We've got rain and freezing rain as we look across the Sierra. Fresno, outside of Fresno, as you get up into the elevated terrain. It's the winds. Let's take a look at some of these wind gusts, shall we? Okay, the wind is just air that's in a hurry, right? The air molecules are moving because there's a change in pressure, and it's significant. We have gusts here of 35 miles per hour, and you say, that ain't no big deal, Hutch, but we got some here. How about 80 mile per hour? That's a 78 mile per hour gust at this location here, 11 miles northwest of, well, Coalinga. Okay, that's fun to say. As we look out near Fresno, we've got 33 to 40 mile per hour gusts. And look at this. We've got a special weather statement here from the National Weather Service for thunder and lightning accompanying this mess out here. So areas of locally heavy rain, even the possibility for some wind gusts to around 50 miles per hour and some head knocking hail, about a 1/2 inch in diameter is what the National Weather Service says here. Now, this is all impacting area roads. We'll get to that in a second. But one of the things with the wind and the ice, power can be a serious concern. Let's check power outages across the region and nation right now. Now, the map behind good old Hutch here is showing highlighted states that do have some power outage concerns. The red, that's a lot of people affected here in California with those gusty winds working their way through. Over 200,000 people, or 250,000 people without power in the state of California at this time. The state of Washington has nearly 80,000 people without power. And where the ice storm is ongoing in Iowa, Iowa has about 13,000 people plus without power at this time. Showing you the impacted areas of each of these states, we'll go through real quickly. Let's just take a look at California here. See the counties where it's most affected. Right in central parts of California, from the coast right up into the Sierra Nevada, we have some significant power outages, including about 5,000 without power in Alpine County up there in the high country. Now, as we get into San Benito County, there's a lot of people without power there, 12.5 thousand people. So California up north, we have a lot of people without power there. There's 2,700 folks without power in that particular area. So that's a look, and you can always get the latest on hutchesweather.com with regards to this. But the wind causing power outages in California, the ice snapping trees, snapping power lines in parts of Iowa. And now we'll take a look at some road conditions, and we'll start with Iowa where the ice storm is ongoing. And we'll take a look at what's going on elsewhere as well as this system works its way through. Here we go. Iowa roads. As we head into the state of Iowa, what we're going to notice is the pink lines that you see on this map are roads that are completely covered with ice. So there's the radar in the background there. They're the blue roads. The blue roads have partially covered ice and snow reported. And the camera signs here, I'll take you in and show you what this looks like as it's impacting the area. Now, as you're looking here, we're zooming in. We're basically in the eastern third of Iowa here. We're in that area just off to the east of, say, Des Moines. And as we look at a couple of these cameras here, you can see in the pink area some of the impacts caused that the road crews are cleaning up right now. Look at the slush and the ice. Note the power lines to the left of this plow driver are DOT workers across the nation doing their best to keep things travelable. Now, the road looks wet. That's good news, but it did lay down a layer of slippery. And the other thing that's going on as the warmer air pushes northward, it's turning into flat out rain that's not freezing as it hits the ground. So it's turning into a concoction of slush down there. Now, as we get into the central part of Iowa here toward Des Moines, what you're going to notice here is this asterisk. So let's take a look at that. North of Des Moines, this is an area where I-35 in both directions has the left shoulder blocked due to a crash there. So be advised that the roads in these areas are extremely slippery, and we can take you to a camera out there on North I-35 now. This is north of the Des Moines area. You can see the ice on the roadside. Ice is terrible to drive on, folks, and there's nothing you can do when you feel like you need to stop right away. You simply can't. It takes your vehicle a long time to stop. Now, conditions near Omaha, let's check that out. The icing there had the best chance first thing in the morning. Let's see how the roads look on let's look at this area here. This is I-80 north, and that lens is completely covered with some icicles and ice on the lens, some raindrops there as well. So it looks like more wet roads than slippery roads being reported there as we go closer to the state of Nebraska, and that's what we're seeing there. So that's a quick look at Iowa. Things have gotten a little bit crazy there with regard to road conditions and that ice storm. Now let's go to the northern part of the state of Iowa, right by the Minnesota border here by Albert Lea. As we sneak up into this area, let's take a peek here at I-35 to the north. Not too bad. There's still going to be some black ice in a few places, but I-35 near the Minnesota border, not as bad. Most of that cold, wet icing is making its way up to the north and to the east now. We're talking way up, maybe a little bit closer to the Illinois and Wisconsin borders here as we look into this particular area here. Let's go ahead and zoom into the Iowa Highway 3 corridor here. This is basically a look at a lot of slush on the area roads in this general vicinity of northern Iowa. So that's a look at Iowa. Let's see if we can take a look at a couple of other places as we head through the day. We do have impacts on area roads. Let's look at Minnesota on the north side of this system here. As we look at Minnesota, there was a winter and is a winter weather advisory in effect for this particular area in the southern part of the state as this system is working its way through, mainly for freezing drizzle. And as you look at the road report here in the state of Minnesota, anywhere south of, say, I-94 seems to be the greatest impacts. However, up near Bemidji here, you got this pink and a big old asterisk. There's a crash on Minnesota 371. And here's a plow, Minnesota 84 a little bit earlier, showing you what things are looking like on the area roads there. This looks more white than solid ice, so that's good. Look at all the asterisks taking place here right now around the Twin Cities. This is Minneapolis, St. Paul. Just a whole horde of crashes out there right now. So if you're driving in Minnesota, roads in these areas are very slippery and icy, and there's a number of crashes. Now, Minnesota here, we have a lot of blue on the area roads, which means there's standard wet and icy roads in places. There's a pink road up here that would be completely covered with ice or snow as we look at Minnesota 65 north of the Twin Cities. So abundant, numerous crashes taking place in Minneapolis, in St. Paul, and all arterials leading in and out, including Highway 10 that goes up towards Little Falls up here. As we look up in that general vicinity, we'll get a camera up here near Royalton, and you can see that we do have some slush next to the old fireworks stand if you wanted to get out there. I don't even know if they're open. I don't looks like they're open, but it says open on the sign there. So if you need some fireworks, maybe you could head up that corridor there and pick you up some as we head through the day. Now, southern Minnesota, as we get down into that Rochester area, there are some icy roads reported, crashes reported. A I-90 vehicle spun out at this particular location that I'm highlighting right here, taking you into Rochester just a little bit closer, and this is the nonsense we're seeing there. It looks very hazy, foggy, and this low clouds creating a reduced visibility, and also there are very icy roads reported in and around parts of Minnesota. So that's what we have going on in Minnesota. As this system works its way off to the east into Illinois, you can expect these impacts to continue to slide east. And let's go over the warnings that we have in place right now. For that, we're going to use another tool in my toolbox. Wait, is it a hammer or 9/16 open-end wrench? Let me see what I've got here. Oh, yeah, not hammer. I don't want to get that out yet. The computer's being real nice right now. Okay, let's take a look at what we have going on across the nation. Now, we're using a tool here. We're going to look at just the northern plains first. We do have a lot of watches, warnings, and advisories going on and out on the east coast of winter storm warning. Here's the nation in a nutshell. Where you see these blue colors here, those are winter weather advisories. This can be for flat out snow. That's wintry. Well, it could be for the ice that we're seeing. But this little pink or purple area in Iowa, that is a ice storm warning. Davenport, up toward the Quad Cities, just off to the east of Des Moines. That's where the main impacts of that icing are now. And that ice storm warning is set to continue for the next 4 hours, which would put us at about 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. So we do have winter weather advisories up in the Fargo area, Sioux Falls, that I-29 corridor right down into Omaha. And these are mainly for some areas of freezing drizzle, fog, and maybe some light snow. This is only going to be in effect for the next hour or so because the system is now moving off to the east just a little bit. Now, as we look at temperatures up in the Fargo area, we have south winds. We're in the 20s up here in the northern plains, and the temperatures will be steady to slowly rising, but we got yellow boxes over here in northeast Montana, and that is a winter storm watch as we go into the night tonight. An ice storm could take place there, or at least a storm creating icy conditions that will quickly turn to snow heading into Sunday. That will be working its way into parts of the northern plains of North Dakota as we head into Sunday night and Monday. And that very same system is wreaking havoc on not in the basin near Boise. We have some advisories going on there. These are basically winter weather advisories for the next hour. But in the mountains outside the basin off to the east here for the next couple of hours, this storm system causing winter storm warning conditions there. Same thing goes, these red counties you see here outside of Reno, winter storm warning that's in effect for the next 10 hours. This system is going to pummel the area with some pretty terrible travel conditions through the elevated terrain in western parts of California. And then as we look down here in the green areas, look at that. That's flood advisories for the heavy rain going on outside Sacramento, in Sacramento, through Santa Rosa and beyond. So we do have winter weather advisories up near the Medford, Oregon area in northern Cal, and Reno in a winter weather advisory, as is Carson City. Now to the East Coast we go. Now, when you see the blue counties again, winter weather advisory expires in about 13 hours, so it's going to be in effect as this storm system is going to work its way in. And a winter storm warning in the elevated terrain, it looks like, of West Virginia, southwestern PA, and take a look at that winter storm warning. It expires in about 7 hours. So here's what's going on as we take a grand peek at what is expected to happen throughout the day. We'll wrap up with a quick look at your forecast. For that, we're going to look at the European model going on a national view here, and here is what we got. Today's ice system, as we step this in through time, is going to continue to slide east and north. Now, the icing potential is not going to persist through the entirety of the storm, but watch this. We got a couple of areas. Here's the main area of interest in the Central Plains. Here we go. That moves up into the Great Lakes with the frozen precipitation in northern and central Wisconsin into the northern parts of Michigan. That's going to push its way through, and as south winds warm temperatures, the icing precipitation will go away. And I'll answer your question here, Sean, in just a moment. I see you're asking about models. Are they coming into agreement for the Sunday, Monday storm? Here's a look. And yes, there is a little bit more of an idea here of what's going to happen in the northern plains. this storm system works its way off toward the east coast. Here goes your ice storm right here, and this is that West Virginia area as we go into parts of western PA. So there could be ice and snow that gets heavy in central PA and in western parts of the state of New York. Here comes the low pressure center on the European model out of the Rockies, and this is for Sunday evening. So the snow, where we have a winter storm watch in Montana for the storm here, ice and snow. So I'm going back and forth and jumping to different areas of the country because this is going to be the next impactful system Sunday. Now this will move out of the Black Hills, the mountains in western Montana. We'll see some snow and mixed precipitation. The low pressure system strengthens as it sets up shop right here in the Red River Valley of the North. And as that happens, gusty north winds will combine with snow Sunday night. So the worst of the travel conditions will be going through the overnight hours, and the heaviest snow will be up near Lake Winnipeg and points north. There'll be a southern branch that brings some rain showers to the Central Plains. But this is where we'll start out our day, 6 a.m., snow in the north with gusty winds in places. Not as gusty here where the low is as we'll see across the prairies of North Dakota. And that snow will last throughout the better part of Monday. Look at the wind increasing as well. So as temperatures fall throughout the day on Monday, we'll have some snow and blowing snow and icy roads in the Dakotas and in northern Minnesota. Meanwhile, another system will work its way in from the west. So as we're focusing on California today, I'm going to rewind the clock back. Here's the heaviest of the snow and the icing and the rain, and that ejects into the plain states or the Rocky Mountain states and the plain states. You get a little bit of break in California, but it will not last long. As you head into your Monday, the next wave moves off the Pacific. We get snow squalmy pass showers of snow. We got some freezing rain into the Bend, Oregon area. We got another round of precipitation punching into California. That moves into the Rockies, and that will make the next system that goes out onto the plains. Looks like a southerly track here on that one. Look at the Pacific Northwest, though. No rest, as we have a very heavy and wet precipitation event possible as we head into Wednesday the 18th midweek. That could bring some rain and snow to British Columbia through Washington State as well as parts of Oregon. So that's a look. Thank you for joining me. Let me take a look and see if I have any questions on my other channels here. We're streaming live on all channels to give everybody across the nation a quick snapshot of what's going on. Hey, if you're in the Northern Plains, or heck, if you're anywhere in the country and you want to check out some weather information, you can always go to hutchesweather.com. Hutchesweather.com has you covered. We've got the interactive radar at the top. I am focused mainly here in the Northern Plains, but you can utilize this site for many areas of the country. Check it out. Going over to hutchesweather.com. I'd love to have you follow me here on my website. Click follow on Facebook. Pound the subscribe button there on the YouTube channel as well. Here in the Northern Plains, we have wintry and icy weather with some freezing drizzle. Here is a look at the interactive radar. You can slide that around from California all the way to the East Coast and check out what's going on right now with the ice storm, as well as other parts of the country. You can zoom in, you can tilt by using double mouses, roll, move the map around to your liking, and get right in there to that system moving through Dubuque, Iowa right now. And it looks like the ice could be persistent there for some time. So this is a great spot, though, for you to report the weather in your area. At the bottom of the page, there's a button here that says Your Photos, and this is where I love it when you participate in what's going on across the area. This is Billings, Montana, a few days ago with some icy concoction on area roads there as we looked on the north side of town. How about Twin Valley, Minnesota? Melissa sharing this picture of that lonely tree out there on a very cold day at sunrise. Here in the Northern Plains, as a day with the least amount of hours of sunlight is upon us very soon. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I sure appreciate you watching me right here on Hutch's Weather. Thanks so very much. If you have a question, drop it in there. I read all of them. But for now, we'll get you back to your regularly scheduled activities. Please drive safe in Iowa, Minnesota, and on into Wisconsin and Michigan later today. California, power outages there, road conditions that are tricky travel in the eastern part of the state of California as well. Hutch's Weather, hutchesweather.com, anytime and no matter when you're there. Have a great day.